All right, anyway, we're talking about legal heroin today because there's a lot of people out there, Trinity, on legal heroin.
Yes.
And this stems from, all these discussions. It is 420, by the way, so if you're celebrating 420 today.
Welcome.
Yeah,
sure.
Welcome to 6th grade.
Yeah, right.
There are legal drugs, and there are things that are legal that can be dangerous. And so when we talk about, hey, man, marijuana has medicinal purposes. Well, all drugs have some form of medicinal purpose, it appears.
Isn't that how they all basically got started?
It appears to be so, Trinity.
Yeah.
Either that or some Indians walking around chewing on the leaves, and we go, well, I'm a little bit jealous of your stamina.
Were they on peyote
like
or something?
Cocaine. No, when they were chewing on down in South America, all the Spaniards are running out of gas going up the mountain, and all these Indians are, while they're taking a break, are chewing on leaves, and their stamina picks right back up. And it's like, man, I'm a little jealous of your stamina there, son. So let me take some of those leaves back to Spain and figure this out.
There you go.
I'm not here to say you should or should not be on any of these medications. I think we need to predicate everything. That's saying we're just giving you an understanding because your brain reads things one way despite what your intentions are. Much like, if you're standing up in front of a judge and say, well, I didn't intend to kill the person. You go to a physician. Let's say you go through surgery and you go to a physician.
Okay.
And, of course, while you're in surgery, they're going to put you on some sort of pain medication. Now, what is that pain medication? And what receptors is that pain medication using? It's using opioid receptors.
What a great setup. I like that. You did a good job on that one, man.
Well, thank you. Well, receptor sites that we all have naturally, we have them because we are going to suffer pain in life. And because our brain doesn't want to really experience that level of pain, it has natural, what we call endogenous opioids, which are naturally born to us, opioids.
Okay.
And they go to those receptor sites and kind of calm down the pain so that we don't suffer. That's what they're for. However, when you go through surgery, somebody's cutting you open.
That's a lot of pain.
It's a lot of pain. So we weren't given that much endogenous opioids, or that great of a. There's not that much of a flood of endogenous opioids that's going to help us out in that situation. Okay. So,
what to do?
Our brilliant geniuses of the world, people that sat in the front of the classroom, not like me, sat in the back. They invented these opioids by using things that were naturally out there already, like the poppy plant was out there. Opium was out there, and they realized that when people were under opium, they could suffer severe pain and it not be an issue. So they created things to be very similar. An agonist is something that you take that actually creates a reaction of that receptor site, okay? So that is an agonist. All forms of the poppy plant that we have, so opium, heroin, are agonists because they go into that opiate receptor site and create that reaction from that opiate receptor site to flood your brain a little bit with dopamine. It's a dopamine reward system that gets stimulated, and therefore the pain is released, and there's some pleasure attached to it, so to kind of get you away from the pain. Okay? Now.
Well, before you go on, let me say that, because I know we mentioned this, and I found the table, I guess, or the chart that you and I were talking about. So I will say that to keep up, they both come from the poppy plant.
Both what?
So heroin comes from, it says made from morphine, which is an extraction from the opium poppy plants.
Right.
And then RX opioids, which would be prescription ones.
Right.
It says it's made from opium poppy plant derivatives.
That's right. So there you go. So it's coming from the same place. And they are all agonists. So the hydrocodone that you may be given by your doctor, the Vicodin, the oxycodone, any pain pills, anything that falls in that line of pain medication. And I'm not talking about Tylenol.
I was about to say.
No, I'm talking about the opiate pain medication, the Vicodin, the hydrocodone, the oxys, all that stuff. Those are all agonists that go to your opiate receptor sites and create that same reaction. The dopamine reward gets done and floods and makes you feel good and no more pain. And that's why they're all opioids.
For some people.
So the reason we call them legal heroin, or Trinity and I call them legal heroin, is just because we need to have this conversation moving in a way so that we wake up. You got to stay woke, right? See, I can use. Nice. Can I use their tag? Even though I'm not.
Go for it.
You got to wake up, people. Remember that guy?
Yeah, wake up.
Yeah, wake up, because if you go to the doctor and get prescribed a legal form of heroin, at least if you look at it that way, you may know I need to get off of this sooner than later, rather than looking at it like I went to the doctor and got on some pain medication because I'm suffering pain and I need to take it longer because I'm still in pain. But if you don't use the word heroin, you might stay on it a little bit too long, not making that connection. But if you look at it like legal heroin, just maybe psychologically, you'll want to get off of it sooner than later, or you'll be more willing to take some other form of pain medication. Then that's when you get to the over-the-counter stuff, the ibuprofens.
Right. Well, you could also be more willing to lock it up, too, and keep it away from people.
Correct. Very good point, Trinity.
I agree.
And that's why we wanted to talk about it today, because so many people have legal heroin in their house, and they don't realize that there's street value attached to it. And so many people are not understanding how come all of a sudden we have all these heroin problems today. They just think that everybody just got stupid all of a sudden.
Right. They look at that person as like, morally corrupt, and they apparently just started with a needle. They don't realize that most of them started out saying, I would never inject anything.
Correct.
And then slowly they kept, first it was, I would never smoke anything. And then I would never snort anything. And then I would never do this. And it ends up with, okay, well, I'm going to put a needle in my arm now.
Correct.
And they don't realize that a lot of them, not all, but a lot of them started with the legal heroin you have in your medicine cabinet.
But they're not safer to dependence. They're not safer to guard you from addiction, but they are safer, meaning the impurity stuff.
And
the other garbage.
I think that's important, because I don't think either one of us are advocating, complete and utter abstinence from these medications. Absolutely if you're legitimately in need, right?
No.
Like, I would hate to tell somebody who's suffering with pain to go without, because you never know what could happen.
Right.
I don't think either one of us are saying that.
Right.
I mean, if you're legitimate pain and you're in a pain management doctor, by all means, do what they're telling you to do. Just be aware.
Yeah, don't try to do surgery and say, I'll do it without.
Yeah, right. Just be aware.
Oh, knock me out, brother.
Yeah. Well, not only, number one, be aware, and number two, and I think David Siegel would love to hear this.
Right.
Watch your medicine cabinet. Be aware for yourself, knowing that this could potentially be a problem for you in the future. So pay attention. And then number two, realize that if you've got anybody, kids around, or I hate to say it, but workers around your house, things of that nature, you don't know what these people are doing. Keep that stuff locked away.
Well, ask yourself this: would you just leave a couple $100 bills in your medicine cabinet?
Because that's what you're doing.
Because that's what you're doing. Anyway, from all of us here on the couch live, adios amigos. It's time for a taco. Goodbye.
And that was without even a single drop of rum.